Warning: the following live broadcast may contain loud, obnoxious, shrill, and alarming noises that might be considered disturbing, if not outright uncomfortable to listen to, like that, but worse, um, especially if you are wearing headphones. I share my office space with an African gray parrot and two parakeets, and I have no control over their behavior while I am live streaming, unlike my regular videos where I have the opportunity to edit them out as best as I can. If you are sensitive to loud, surprising background noises, I recommend either not turning up your volume up too loud. Hello, read the lines. Or watching my edited pre-recorded videos instead. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh my goodness. I think one of these days I'll be able to read through that thing without flubbing one of the lines. Geez, you would think I would have that memorized by now. Oh my goodness. Hello, Afraid. Hello. Welcome. Hello. And yes, I see you, my beautiful eyeball people watching me from regions beyond. If you are watching me from YouTube or Twitch, I was about to say if you're watching me from anywhere else, but I'd like to know how. Although I made that joke on Monday already. But if you are watching from YouTube or from Twitch, welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Egoworks DRAWStream. I kind of figured that should be the name. In the end, that should be the name that this should be called. After all, so welcome. And while you're here, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever any of my shows go live. Oh, Afraid, watching it from the Nazca lines. Ooh, exotic. Where's that? That's in Peru, right? That's I forgot. It's been a while since I've done this. Trying to remember everybody, but also as you can tell, I'm starting the show earlier this time. This is going to be the new schedule for the draw stream on Wednesdays. It's still going to be somewhat every alternate Wednesday, but now at an earlier time. I know it probably was a lot easier to watch this as you're just coming home from work, right? But now I get to end your lunch break and I get to like kind of like ride you into the end of your of your work day. you know um Instead, right? So the reason why I'm pushing this the show back, or is it earlier, back or forward? I always get that confused. Well, the reason why I'm going to be running the streams earlier from now on is because I pretty much do these oh my god, do these streams according to Jose's work schedule. And ever since that he got an earlier schedule, I thus then had to change the schedule for the stream. So when he comes home, I'm pretty much finishing up the stream. So I don't like to stream while he's home, essentially. So that's why the schedule is earlier. I hope that it's a little bit more convenient for everybody else as well as for me. Although I'm not really sure if it's that convenient. It's kind of throwing me off running it a little earlier. But like I said, when Jose comes home, then that means that it's time for me to not stream anyway. And Lorraine says, "Don't worry, we're all out here having the same speech day. None of us can run a straight sentence today." Today is a very cloudy. It's seasonably cold, which I'd much prefer than unseasonably warm. Um, so it's kind of a little overcast. I'm trying to get my lamps to kind of like simulate sunlight in here. Um, we'll see what we can do. So, so enough rambling, enough rambling. So, hello everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I've been self-publishing comics since 1992, and you know what that means.
With a few exceptions, the characters on this program are weird and peculiar and not to be trusted.
I am the artist. Jesus Christ! It's like just it is what it is. I am the artist for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales and the creator of Egoraven, Heir of the First Unicorn, a medieval fantasy drama that you can read online at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And if you are following me on Kickstarter, Egoraven issue 12 is now on pre-launch on Kickstarter, and the link is in the chat, so you can sign up and be notified when the campaign goes live. Let's see. So where am I? You can also check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, Lage Art. And like I said, while you're here, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that fun stuff to keep the algorithm gods happy. So yeah, so also like I made a couple of changes. Like obviously what doesn't help either is that I changed my cue cards. So just to kind of like be a little bit, I don't know, shorter. Although I think in the end it's kind of like the same thing. But until I get used to saying it, I'm going to be tripping over, my words because I'm so used to the old version. But it is what it is. Let's see. So Efrain says, do you prefer cold or sunny days? To tell you the truth, actually, I kind of prefer it like this. I like it when it's like cold and dreary like this. I like it when it's raining because I don't know, it kind of takes away the pressure of having to go outside. So so I'm able to concentrate more staying inside and doing work. Because oh, there we go. Hey, hello Melissa, hello. Yes, the art stream is back a little earlier than we're all used to, but I don't know, I think we can make this work. So I've been gone for a while. I know that I've skipped a lot of time for the regular vlogs, and I have definitely skipped a lot of time for the live streams. So much has been going on, mostly in the personal sphere. It all started off with me helping my sister move, and then helping my mother move, although we're still in the middle of that. So, so there was a lot of back and forth. And then it's like I had a Kickstarter to run in between everything. And, so that's, there was just a lot going on. And it just got to a point where it was a little too much for me to kind of like juggle everything. So something had to give. And the easiest thing was to not do streams for a while. So that's the case. Although now that I'm back and from my not vacation, and I am hoping that I'll be able to do this kind of like uninterrupted for like until early next year. So at least for the next couple of months. So hopefully we can get back on some semblance of a proper schedule. Also, what has been going on is that I am currently working on Egoraven issue 12. I was able to do that while I was away. I know Melissa's already seen this, but, because I went through a lot of this on the Monday vlog. But I got myself a Wacom Move Ink 11, which is Wacom's portable Cintiq, well, portable tablet. It's not a Cintiq. It's just a portable tablet that works like an iPad. And without being an iPad, without being obnoxious like an iPad. And I'm able to run the full version of Clip Studio Paint on it. And this is the latest Eagle Raven page that I finished last night. And honestly, I was amazed to find out how much I liked this thing. Not to get all, ads or whatever, because it's not an ad, it's not sponsored. I bought this with my own money, and I really needed something portable. And if you're looking for something portable that runs like a tablet, it's kind of like a giant Android tablet, because that's what it is. It's not a Windows tablet, but like I said, it runs the full version of Clip Studio Paint. I tried Word for Windows on here, Microsoft Word. It works on that too. I'm pretty sure if I downloaded Photoshop onto here, which I don't need, so I'm not putting it here. I'm pretty sure I could run the full version of Photoshop on here as well. But pretty much I mostly just use it for Clip Studio Paint. To do my pages, which I have been able to really get a good headway on issue 12. I have 20 pages left to finish this issue, and this is a slightly longer issue too. Who can afford a full version of Word? It's like, who can afford a full version of Word these days? Right, especially since everything is a subscription service, and you're committing to the whole suite, not just the one program. Although, to tell you the truth, compared to Adobe, Microsoft 365 is actually pretty affordable. I mean, Adobe is unnecessarily expensive per month, honestly. I mean, it's like I do use Photoshop, I do use InDesign and Illustrator, and I'm going to teach myself Premiere so I can edit my videos in Premiere instead of having a separate program that I'm paying separately for, which if I have everything in the Adobe suite, I don't need to be paying for outside programs. So I was able to get a lot of work done on this, and what I really like is that I can work anywhere with this tablet. I really like the idea of not being tethered to my office. Now it's like when Jose is watching MMA, I can actually sit on the sofa and work on my pages and be in the same room with him instead of being stuck in the office because I have to finish work. So, it ran me, for those of you who are curious, it ran me close to $600 once you add tax. But I think for a Wacom tablet, it's very, well, it's affordable. It's very affordable, and it made me realize that having a larger screen is not exactly, sometimes it's not what I thought I needed. I thought that I needed a larger screen. I was a little concerned about the 11-inch size. That's what she said. Right. I read too many books. No, but it worked out really, really well, especially with the touch screen gesture commands where I can like pan and rotate and zoom, and it's just it was worth every penny. And in fact, it made me change my idea as to what I would need if I needed to upgrade my actual Cintiq, which is the 16 Pro that I have right now. That's kind of a little on the wonky side nowadays, but it's still working. I'm not going to worry about this until I absolutely have to worry about it. But Wacom did come out with a 24-inch that's also a touch screen. I would have liked it if they did the 16-inch with a touch screen, but the 24-inch, the 2025 model is a touchscreen, and I think I'm going to, if I need to replace, when I need to replace my 16-inch Pro, I'm going to get that 24-inch just for the touchscreen, because if I can get an actual Cintiq to work the same way as this tablet, where I don't need to use my keyboard, game changer for me. It's all over for you guys. No, it's just not all over. It's just going to make it easier for me to do more comics. That's it. So that's yeah. So I would like to thank Wacom for allowing me to survive this last, month or so, getting a lot of work done. So yeah. So that's part of it. Also, it's like, what else have I been up to? Yeah. So if you missed Monday's vlog, which is, you can find it in the playlists on my channel. I talked about, because Nita had an appointment, so it was just me running the show. I was talking about how because I did not allow myself access to social media outside of YouTube, I allowed myself to get bored enough so that I was able to work on several creative things that have, that kind of been like plaguing me. Especially when it comes to the novelization of Ego Raven, like I was really using that time to really think about how I was going to plug up some story holes from that, probably is not as noticeable in the comic, but it bothered me just the same. That's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to fix it in the novelization. So I was able to spend a lot of time really being in this creative zone, all because I stayed off of social media. So because of that, because I'm actually going out of my way not to be on social media, aside from very particular places, YouTube being one of them, I highly encourage everybody to sign up for my mailing list. That's where I'm going to be pushing out a lot of all of the new projects that I have, and that I'm going to have, the campaigns that are coming up. And I'm going to be prioritizing my mailing list and YouTube, as opposed to kind of like constantly being on social media, because the dopamine hit that I'm getting from really being in this creative space is significantly higher than the hit that I get from getting on social media. In fact, I didn't realize how much social media contributed to my stress and anxiety until I really made a point to stay off of it. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to like drop it completely. I am going to I still have my accounts. I'm going to be posting to very particular places. And I only want to be available on those social medias while I'm like updating. Like, I don't want to like end up like mindlessly scrolling or anything. So it's like, so if you follow me on Facebook, you'll still find me there. I'm going to be like working more on posting to Substack. I haven't decided quite yet what I'm doing with my Instagram. Oh, hey, HR. And actually, it's like, oh, I forgot to do this. Poof. Right? So let me see. Can I move this? Let me see. Because I could have sworn I could have moved this. Let me see. Show comments. Let me see. Let me see. What happens when I do this? Oh, that's just me. Okay. All right. So, no, it doesn't. Okay, that's going to interfere with my little picture there. I could have sworn there was a way I could have moved it around. I know that there was something. I'll worry about it later. So, so yeah, so it's like, so yeah, so if you follow me on those places, I'm still going to be there. I'm just not going to post as much as as I used to, because I'm going to be moving that effort to my mailing list. So there's a QR code right there that you can scan. If you need a larger version of the QR code, you can scan this thing, this right here, this, so you can sign up and follow me there that way. So today, what we have scheduled, as you can see in this box right here, these are the 4 sketch covers that I have left to do for the Eagle Raven 11 campaign. I almost said 12, 11 campaign. These are the 4 rewards that are left. So, and then once these are done, that campaign will be completely officially done in the in the can, and then I can move on to concentrating more on issue 12. Although I've been doing that anyway, so um, that's pretty much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these sketch covers, and we're going to be working on that today. Probably mostly just inking, because I haven't. Yeah, it's going to take me probably the time of the show to ink these pieces. So we'll see if we can get one of them ready for color by the end of the show. So, okay, so let's see. So let me try that again with, okay, so here's the thing, right? Let's see. It's like, right now, Melissa says, right now I'm up to my eyeballs in book production. I can't wait to be done. Yeah. One of the other projects that, I'm still debating on, well, I'm still putting it together, but I'm just debating whether I should run it uh, soon or not, is House of Bob. So I do have the next sketchbook done for House of Bob. I have it tentatively scheduled to run in December, but I still have to put together the campaign. Yeah, that's still, I haven't even started that. Like, the campaign for issue 12, the campaign page for issue 12 is finished, but I haven't even started, um but I'm not done with the book, but I have no campaign page for House of Bob, which I am finished with the book. So it's a little bit backwards. So, so yeah, so it's like I'm still trying to figure out. Well, I'm not trying to. I just have to put together the campaign page, and 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 it's just deciding, like, whether to pull the trigger in December or not, or should I just wait until January. But I don't know. It's like, I feel this year my schedule has been thrown off enough in terms of the Kickstarters. So I'm probably going, yeah, I'm most likely going to, like, get the campaign page done, and launch uh, House of Bob in December. So the thing is with House of Bob is that not only is that where you can get my furry sketchbooks on that campaign, but it is also at this moment the only way you can get custom commissions from me as well is on the campaigns for House of Bob. So if you've been waiting for the opportunity to get a commission from me, that's the campaign to do it. So again, another reason to sign up for the mailing list is so that I'll give you a heads up as to when that campaign is actually going to launch, so everybody can keep an eye on that as well. So, so like I said, we're going to be working on these covers. So actually, let me switch it out so you guys can get a closer look at them. So when I do the covers for when I do the covers for my sketch covers for my campaign, what I like to do is I like to have a theme for the covers so that they all kind of like work together. Because it allows me to experiment with certain styles or certain things. And and also I like the way they match. So, like particular issues will have certain themes. Sometimes it's, it can be like either stylistically or medium. In this case, I want to use more of that metallic paint that I've used in the past. And I came up with this idea where it's like eagle ravens in the water. So the water and this frame is going to be done in metallic paint. So, I was really, really looking forward to doing that. So yeah, so that's the kind of like the inspiration for the designs here. So let me just move okay, because I have the second monitor set up so that I can actually see all the comments now that, and plus everyone gets a good view of the desk, so it's not awkward anymore. So, okay, so let's see. So, I guess if you'll want to get like a closer look at these, of course, because of the reflection, right? So I don't know. It's like, because I like to work in blue line, but sometimes the camera has a hard time picking up the blue pencil. So, so yeah, so that I think I'm going to work on this one, but let me show you the other ones as well. I'm pretty sure. Okay, that's not that bad. Okay, I don't have to take it out of the the bag, which in the end I would prefer not to, because then that way it doesn't get, I don't risk it getting dirty. This one, yeah, this one I really like the way this one came out. So that's one, and then here's the other one. So yeah, but like I said, I think like this one is the one that I prefer to work on first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these aside here. And okay. Oh, actually, and let me start the music. Little back. Sponsored, but I do have a subscription. So that's and as always, the music doesn't seem that loud in my headset, but if it feels like I'm competing too much with the music, just tell me and I'll lower the volume. So, okay, so let's see. So for this piece, yes, it's a new angle because I've finally set up properly the second monitor with the second camera. So, well, the metallic paints that I use they're like the mica pigment. I'm not going to use them today because we're just inking today. But it's the mica pigment. I'm not sure what the brand is. It's a brand from Germany, I think it is. But yeah, it's a little awkward for me to grab the palette right now because it's like I would have to pull this drawer out and dig in the back of it. So, but for this for this cover, I'm going to be inking with my Faber-Castell Pick pens. I still these pens, they're still my favorite, second to the Rapidiagraphs. Um, Coolrio, I'm not sure. Maybe those might be it. It sounds right. It sounds right. I know that they changed the name at one point, but actually, oh, let me just move this here. Right, just move this. I know that they changed the name at one point, so but I'm pretty sure it's that brand. That sounds right. That's you know what? Now you have me. Let me go digging. Hold on, hold on. Oh, okay. It's not as yeah. Here it is. Okay, it wasn't as difficult as I thought. I was just being dramatic. So yeah, it's a Coliro .de, which is Germany. So yeah, so these are the ones that I'm going to be using. Um, so yeah, so I'm going to be using that blue and that gold. Yeah, so they're mica pigments, and they're really really shiny. So I really enjoy working with these. So let me just oh goodness, okay, let's not pull out the drawer. Hold on. There we go. Okay. All right. So that'll do. So yeah. So I'm going to be using. Oh, that's it. My Faber Pastels Pick pens. Like I said, they're my second favorite pens to my Rapidiagraphs. No, don't worry, Melissa. Um, Man, it's like I find it so annoying that I can't get the this thing to move. I mean, I remember being able to do that with the chat overlay to move it, but now I don't know. I mean, look, I'm lucky that I still got my layout the way that I usually run it because I for some reason I can't switch over to my particular room in StreamYard where it has all my graphics and everything. It was like stuck on the vlogs room. So I had to like at the last minute I had to like upload all the graphics that I knew I was going to use. And and just like and I'm in the vlogs room right now. So I just have, everything that I need. But yeah, but that's something I'm just gonna have to figure out as to why like everything that I was kind of used to being able to do is not working in StreamYard. Um so I don't know. Is that the right nib? Is that a little too thick? Okay, well we're doing her eyes anyway, so um there we go. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. There we go. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let's see. So Melissa says I see those around a lot. I've got a lot of sparkly and glitter paints, but I'm looking for more solid metallic. Yeah, the mica paints. Those paints that I just showed you, I think that they are the best at looking metallic on paper. I really like working with them. That's why when I designed these covers, I wanted the opportunity to use them again. And I made the design specifically to be able to paint. Uh, so yeah, so good. Okay, so we're on the right track. There we go. So So like I said, I have been, staying away from social media. So I had to like find other things to do while I was, so when I'm not, plugging plot holes, right, or working on my pages. So one of the things that I was doing, that I ended up doing, is, which is where the title of the stream comes in. So what I figured, what I had wanted to do for a while, that I had wanted to clean up my YouTube page for a bit, because like I said, I want to concentrate more on YouTube and YouTube, Substack. Hello, simply Yulia. Hello. I wanted, I want to concentrate more on the platforms that allow me to engage more creatively with everybody, because in the end, I yeah, it's like, it's just, how it goes. It just gets like way too much. So I wanted to fix up my YouTube, especially when it came to the vlogs, because it's because with the vlogs, right? Because when Nita would set up the lives, the Streamyards, so Yulia, so I am working on sketch covers to finish off my campaign, my Kickstarter campaign for my comic. So I have four sketch covers I have to finish, and this is one of them that I will be inking, hopefully to finish in the 2 hours we have on the show. So this is a sketch cover for my comic Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is a fantasy drama that I regularly put out on Kickstarter. You can see samples of the covers right there and the artwork. And I just finished releasing issue 11 on Kickstarter, which is what these comics are for. And I have issue 12 on pre-launch. The link is in the chat if you just want to check it out. So, so when Nita makes the Streamyard, a lot of the times, we have no idea what the topics are. We're not... a lot of times, unless there's something very specific I want to talk about, I'm usually just making up as we stream. Sometimes I don't get an idea for a stream until like minutes before, because I happen to read an article at that moment, and I go, oh, that's something good that we can talk about. So then what she does is because of that, she puts in placeholder titles. And what I had wanted to do is I had wanted to go back, re-listen to the vlogs, and then kind of like make new titles for them. And thank you, Yulia, thank you. Make new titles for them, clean up the summaries, so that when people go to the channel and they see the vlogs, they know more or less what we're talking about, as opposed to seeing kind of like a very generic title that doesn't say anything. So the problem was that we have a lot of vlogs, like what we're talking about, like just this year alone, we had like 50 something vlogs, right? And I wasn't, well, it's not that I don't enjoy re-listening to our vlogs. I do that all the time. It's just that I didn't want to listen to 50 of them in a row just so I can change titles on on my YouTube channel. So what happened was that I was watching some other videos and I noticed that there was like this new button that was showing up on some videos. And I had forgotten that Google owns YouTube. And because of that, Google owns Gemini. So Gemini is Google's AI well, it's their generative AI thingamajig, right? It's their thing. It's their AI thing. And I guess they had finally incorporated or shoehorned, because God knows they're trying to shoehorn this shit into everything. They shoehorned AI, the Gemini AI, into YouTube. And what I realized was that if I clicked on the Gemini symbol, it gave me a summary of what the video is about. And and it's like, oh, okay, so I guess they really don't want people watching YouTube videos, right? If you can just get a summary of the video just by clicking on the Gemini thing, right? But the thing is, though, is that the people that I follow, I watch their videos anyway. So it's not like Gemini giving me a summary of those videos made me not watch them. So that's so yeah, as much as I thought I had that knee-jerk reaction, that's not the experience that that I was having. So and then I realized that although in the end I do really think that that's the reason for it. So it's like that you can just read summaries and not watch people's videos. Because look, none of these platforms do anything out of the goodness of their hearts, okay? So, you know, convenience is the angle that they're taking, but, you know, it's like what they want people to make videos, but they figure that people will settle for just like AI summaries and then I don't know, go do something else. So I noticed that our videos, the vlogs, had that same button on it. So Melissa says, if AI is supposed to save us all this time, then what are we supposed to do with it? Well, I'll tell you what I ended up doing with it. So I noticed that like our vlogs had the Gemini symbol on it. So I clicked on it, and it gave me a summary of everything that I was talking about in the video. Now, of course, I didn't take it at face value. It gave me timestamps, and I would click on those timestamps to make sure that I was actually talking about what the thing was saying that I was talking about. And then it's like, that's when I realized it's like, okay, you know what? It's like, I can use this. Because Melissa says, I can't wait for the AI bubble to burst. Hopefully we'll move past some of this madness. What's funny is that I saw a video recently talking about why the AI bubble is different from all other bubbles. Like when you compare it to things like the tech bubble or the stock market, the housing bubble, that those, and how AI is a little bit different. It's still a bubble, but so so I was like going, it's like, look, it's like finally this stupid thing is actually doing something that I need it to do, right? Which is just summarizing my videos so I don't have to sit there watching 50 something videos just to make new titles. So that's what I ended up doing. I ended up going to about like I said, about 50 something videos, and getting the AI summary, and then from that summary I would make up new titles and little summaries of my own for the vlogs, and I was able to do a year's worth of vlog updates in a couple of days, because I wasn't working on it straight. Like, I would do like a whole bunch of them and then like save it for the next day. So, and then it's like, look, I'm not completely adverse to this. The problem that I have with it is how they put together the image generators, right? How they took thousands and thousands of artists' work without their permission to train these generative models without any compensation or credit whatsoever. That's the problem I have with it. And that's why when it comes to imagery, I refuse to use it. It's like, unless they do something drastic that, I don't know, paying royalties to these artists that they stole their artwork for this. I'm not interested in using generative AI for anything creative whatsoever. It's like it doesn't serve any purpose for me whatsoever. Now, if I could get the shit to do my laundry, that's different. And this was the equivalent of that. It's like there was this tedious, data-driven task that I needed to do, right? And I didn't want to sit there doing that, especially when I'm actually having these, these like creative breakthroughs, just by not being on social media. I didn't want to all of a sudden have that bogged down because I had to do this tedious maintenance on YouTube with my videos. So that's where Gemini came back into my life. I did a whole Substack blog talking about how I first played around with Gemini and realized that creatively it actually really sucked. But if I wanted it to do tedious shit, it's perfect for that. And this was one of those moments. So I was able to update my YouTube channel using Gemini, and I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. Now it's like, an AI story with a happy ending. HR, maybe you can make your drawings animated with it. Isn't it tempting to see? Okay, HR. I mean, it's like, look, I would be lying if I said I wasn't slightly tempted by that, because I have seen people do it, that they take their artwork and now all of a sudden it's animated. And in the end, it's like, I'm okay with not doing that. Because when I would watch these other animations that people were doing, I would see the mistakes. The mistakes are there. I'm not even an animator, and I would see the mistakes, right? And the problem with that type of work is that unless you're skilled enough to fix the mistakes, what's the point? Because, you know, okay, maybe, yeah, I could do that. But then it's like any mistakes that I see would drive me up the fucking wall because I wouldn't know how to fix it. So I would rather learn animation like in Clip Studio and do it myself, knowing that it will be animated exactly the way my skill set allows me to, rather than just throwing it whole cloth into an AI and then being at the mercy of what it gave me. And yeah, and it's like, that's just how I look at it. It's like, you know what? It's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to make a screensaver. Essentially, that's how Guillermo del Toro described using generative AI. It's like, congratulations, you made a screensaver. And in the end, that's kind of how it comes off to me. And yeah, it's like, I would rather do it for myself. I would rather figure it out myself. Um, and I'm not interested in also, sacrificing my art to the machine. It doesn't matter that maybe they scraped years worth of DeviantArt items that I had, artwork that I had, and it's already there. It's like, I'm not interested in encouraging that behavior. So I don't think I lose anything by not doing that, by not using generative AI for my artwork. As cool as it may sound to see an animated whatever, animated artwork from me, but it's like, no, no, I'm gonna hold the line on this one, right? But the fact that you mentioned, HR says, just for short ads for drawing a crowd to your comics. Well, so here's the other thing that I started hammering Gemini for. Since it was, okay, it's like I found it handy using it for updating my YouTube channel. Now, like I said, it's like it gave me the summaries, but I made up all those titles and summaries that I used in the actual descriptions. I made those up myself based on what Gemini was summarizing for me. I did not copy and paste anything that that I didn't copy and paste anything that Gemini wrote out for me. It's like I took what it summarized and then I made up my own titles and stuff, right? So then I said, okay, you know what? Let me so HR says use it for promotion, right? So, which is what I initially, when I first started using Gemini, that I was, trying to use it for. So I started asking it marketing questions about, about my book. And it's like, okay, how do I, how to best market it and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other thing. And like I said, look, Gemini or any of these programs, um, you know, Gemini doesn't make anything up. You know, you have to remember that it's only going to gather data that it knows already and try to apply that data to what you're asking for it. It's not creating anything for you. Um, it's just, so I asked it about like marketing. And of course, the stuff that it gives me back is very generic. Because what can it tell me, specifically about my book, right? It's not going to. Oh, but here's also the thing too. You have to remember too. I realized this when I was playing around with the summaries, right? Like trying to come up, like doing summaries and then making marketing blurbs, um, you know, for it. And what I found really funny is how Gemini is really big on flattering you. I mean, you would have thought I was the way Gemini would talk about my work, you would think that I had been writing a bestseller, a New York Times bestseller all this time and didn't know it. Which, to tell you the truth, I think if that's programmed, it's a very insidious yet clever program that the engineers did. Because what better way to create this manufactured consent in using generative AI than to get the AI to tell you how you're the fairest in the land, essentially, creatively, right? Which, um, which it was doing. And, the thing is though, it's like I recognized it, you know, and it's like, oh, you dirty little bitch, you think flattery will get you everywhere, don't you? Right? So, so I still kind of like played around with it, trying to like, okay, no, I need you to help me with marketing. Okay. It's like, that's the one thing that I don't want to say I don't like doing it, because I like the challenge of trying to figure out how to get marketing to work. Oh, by the way, the answer is money, lots and lots of money. But that's besides the point. um, and so I was asking. So what I asked it to do was I asked it to give me marketing blurbs for Egoraven, but from the angle of the emotional tone of the story. Right? So, and it's like, look, what Gemini gave me back was pretty much the same thing that I learned the first time that I was trying to use Gemini for marketing. AI is corny as fuck. That's all I can say. AI is corny as fuck. Kansas is corny. AI is corny. Holy shit, is it corny? Right? Like, it was coming up with blurbs that I was just like, no fucking way are these words coming out of my mouth. And and all I could really say to that is that anybody who uses AI just copy paste, like as if they're just copying and pasting, I mean, it's like you couldn't be a bigger hack, because like holy moly is it just painfully corny. Um, but just like a broken clock, there's there's little gems in that. Broken clock, right? Twice a day, right? But why would you own a broken clock, right? Well, technically, I do own a broken clock. Oh. Um. Um. Oh my god! I just realized this stupid music in the background. Oh, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Smells like victory. Where was I? Oh yeah. So so I kept like trying to finesse. Yeah, I know, right? It's like really, so I was trying to finesse Gemini, but there is no finessing Gemini. I mean, it's like it truly is the information that Gemini gives you truly is the sum result of the dumbest people on the internet. I swear to God, because like I said, the stuff that it was giving me, which like I said, corny, absolutely corny. But like I said, there's some gems in there. So, but I mean, the amount of critical thinking you have to do in order to make anything this thing is writing usable. I mean, yeah, it's like you really can't. I mean, the people who say that, oh, this is supposed to save you time and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, on a certain level, yeah, it does. If you have to do some really, really tedious data aggregation, yeah, this shit will save you time. But the thing you have to realize too is that it still requires a lot of creative input from you to do something with that information. But it also showed me, or at least it explained, why certain posts by some people were so goddamn weird. Like, it's like, oh, because you're just copying and pasting what the AI is telling you without really critically thinking about what it just told you to say, right? And and now it's like, and what's funny is like I spent so much time playing around with it that I'm actually beginning to recognize who's using AI in their copy and who isn't. like I'm beginning, like I see like some posts by people and it's like, oh, that's AI. That's AI. And what's funny is that a lot of people like to say like, oh, the tells is the hyphens, right? And it's the M dashes, right? And then it's like, like there's a certain cadence that AI uses. There's actually a particular pattern that it uses in the way it formulates these paragraphs. Like for some reason, someone had pointed it out that AI likes to work in threes for some reason, and and I was catching that, You know, I was catching the M dashes, you know, like, you see, and the thing is, it's not that using an M dash is an AI red flag. It's just using too much of them, too many of them. Um, and even then, it depends on the context. Um, so, you know, but the thing that was really standing out for me, right, was the fact that there isn't there there isn't an adverb that the AI doesn't like. You know, I mean, it's like in a lot of descriptive, unnecessarily descriptive words, right? And and there's Jesus Christ, this music sounds like I'm at Epcot Center. You know? You know, I mean, it's you know, and it's like that there's certain words that it likes repeating because I guess so many people use same thing with the M dashes. So many people use it, right? That it thinks that that's how it's supposed to write. And there are particular words that um that it likes to write because I guess so many people use it. Oh, you want to use that word too. And this is like again, it's not necessarily like there was one it's what like there's one word that kept coming up was the word cunning. It kept giving me the word cunning, right? In the most and like in the most simplest of contexts when it came to story. And it's like, oh, the cunning character, and this, that, and the other thing, right? And it's like, well, no, that's not really the correct word to use. I mean, yes, it is, but it's not. You know, when a word just doesn't have the right vibe, like it's definitely yeah, like technically it's correct, but there's something off about its usage, right? So it wrote something out to me that's like, oh, that it used the word cunning. And I was like going, yeah, well, it's technically correct, but it doesn't sound right. Right. So, you know, so I'm just like trying to massage, you know, trying to massage these blurbs, right? And then the funny thing is that all of a sudden I would go like look at some stuff on Facebook or some people are advertising their Kickstarters, and then all of a sudden I would start seeing that word cunning, 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 right? Another one is like destiny or something. That's another one, or and I just kept seeing those words, and it's like, and again, it's not the usage of the word that would tip me off that someone had used AI to write their blurbs, but it's the odd context. Well, HR says you're hard on yourself with AI. In the future, no one will care. It will be blurred, and the product is only what counts. And me myself doesn't oppose to it, as I can get the right essence and vibe with sound. Right? It's like, yeah, it's like, but you have to know how to get the right vibe, right? But you see, here's the thing. Okay, nobody else cares, but I do. That's the thing that it's like that's my answer to that. When people say, oh, the average person isn't going to care, yeah, but I do. That's what separates me from the average person, is that I care. So I'm holding on to that. So I'm gonna be holding on to that, right? So yeah, so it's like so there was like, yeah, so there's these certain words that it was using, and again, it's like, yeah, and it would like do it in the strange pattern of threes. But like I said, it's like, you know, those things in and of itself is not indicative of someone using AI. But to me, it's more recognizing the context. Like, for some reason, the words are more bombastic than the context of the use. Like, it's kind of like it's over the top. The way it writes is over the top. And you know, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm you know, which is why I have to kind of like, you know, take what it gives me. Oh, advertise your book this way. And I go, fuck no, I'm going to massage this until it sounds like something a person wrote and not a machine. You know, and it's like, you know, and that becomes a skill in and of itself, which reminded me of an article that I had read where the future jobs in AI is not the AI itself, is not like doing, you know, like using the AI itself, but cleaning the slop that AI produces. Which pretty much means that everybody, that the techbo troglodytes had been saying we're going to replace everybody with AI. Turns out you need those people to fix, to make what the AI pumps out usable. So it's like you need, so the future AI are editors who are going to need to re-edit and massage AI text. You're going to need skilled artists, skilled animators who can fix the trash that's coming out, right? So it's like, you know, you're still going to need skilled people in order to make anything usable from whatever the AI spits out. Eagle Raven virtual reality fantasy world. And we'll leave it in the thought process. We'll just leave it as a thought. You know, so there was a certain irony of that, right? In realizing that no, you know what, that in the end, it's like, no, you know what? AI is not replacing, you know, creatives. In fact, AI can only survive in conjunction with creatives, because it's going to be skilled creatives who are going to be able to take that slop and turn it into something meaningful, because it can't do that on its own. It's incapable of doing that on its own. There's a thing that I saw that computers can neither be petty nor horny. So that's why computers can never be tasked to make art. And that's, yeah, it's like you can't, you know, so it makes that angle makes a lot more sense to me, right? So it's like, yeah, so it's like I'm not, yeah, because it's like obviously whatever Gemini is giving me in and of itself is trash. But I still need to sit here and think about how I can re-edit what it's giving me in order to sound normal. And something that I can use. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. Where, you know, where it's like I'm trying to find the tedious parts of what I'm doing, what I have to do. And trying to assign parts of that to Gemini or to Copilot, either one. And then that way I'm spending less time on the tedium so I can spend more time doing this. Which in the end, that's what counts. That's what counts. It's like Gemini gets to do my laundry so I can do more artwork. And the funny thing is seeing how hard Gemini and Copilot really, 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 really wants me to do artwork with it. No matter what I ask it to do, would you like me to make corresponding artwork for this? No, shut the fuck up, Gemini. Sit down and do the data manipulation that I need. I'm doing the artwork. I do the artwork. You do the boring shit. You sit down. And that's what's like what I'm trying to like really massage it to do. Because it's like, you know what? It's like, if they're going to push this garbage in my face constantly, then it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to admit that there is a certain thing that this shit is good at. Art's not it, right? But, it can do data aggregation, okay? That's what I need you to do. I need you to get me the data so that I can, take that information and then I can manipulate that information into something that I can actually use. So I asked Gemini to give me a marketing like schedule, not a schedule, but kind of like a marketing overlay on prioritizing on how I can market the next campaign, the next Kickstarter campaign, prioritizing my mailing list, YouTube, and Substack, right? But it leads up to a Kickstarter, And it actually gave me a good timeline. That's like, oh, okay, I can think about this. Because the thing that always frustrated me with trying to figure out marketing is having the trouble figuring out where to start, right? It's not that I don't know how to do this. It's just that sometimes I get so overwhelmed with the information that I have that I just need something to tell me where do I start, right? And that's what Gemini did. So I said, I want to prioritize this. This is the information that I have, right? I want to do this. It all leads up to a Kickstarter, right? What's the recommendation, right? So it gave me kind of like a path to follow. So I'm looking at that and it's like, okay, I can kind of work with this, right? And then, there was a point because I had said I wanted to prioritize YouTube, right? So it gave me some suggestions as to what videos I should make that I could use to promote the Kickstarter. You know, and it's like, okay. But again, it gave me kind of like really generic ideas. Nothing that I could really work with, right? It's like, okay, you know, do a video on the story. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. You know, I know that. You know? So then I asked it to script out, give me like a script for like a timestamp script, not like a, you know, that I could use, you know, like a time. Give me a timestamp script for a video promoting Eager Raven for a first-time viewer, someone who's not familiar with the book at all, right? And it gave me a rundown, right? And I said, okay, make the script for 10 minutes, a 10-minute video. And then it gave me that rundown, like with timestamps. Okay, we should talk, here's your intro, here's, you should talk about this, here you should talk about that, at this point talk about this, you know, kind of like, you know, 2 minutes per topic, right? I was like, okay, now we're kind of cooking, right? And I go, okay, write out a script for each topic as to what I should be saying, and include include examples of the type of artwork that I should be using. Not making artwork, but like what visuals I should be using, right? This is where it starts to kind of fall apart. Because the script, again, that it gave me was so fucking corny. There's like no fucking way am I reading this. No, this is, it's like, you had me at the timestamps. It's like, Gemini, you were good at the timestamps. Why is it that you can't, you know? But in the end, that's kind of the point, right? It's like, I don't want it to write a script for me to just read verbatim. It's like, it gave me something to focus on. So it's like, okay, now I can rewrite this myself so that it sounds normal. You know? And, you know, and it's like, you know, and I came, you know, and I was asking Gemini for a bunch of similar suggestions, and all of them were like that. It's all these really horrible scripts. Like you ask it, like it can give you overviews, right? Like blah 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 blah, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You talk about this topic, this topic, this topic, this topic. It's like, okay, you know, oh, put in, you know, make sure to use artwork of an epic background. It loves using the word epic. So, yeah, like, of an epic scene. Yeah, it's like, okay, at least, you know. Yeah, quit while you're ahead, Gemini. Really, really. Because, oh my God, the script was so cringe. It was like, you ruined it. You know, and, oh, the other word the AI loves to use is groundbreaking. Everything is fucking groundbreaking. It's like, no, Gemini, it is not groundbreaking. It loves to use the word groundbreaking. So I have a couple of these scripts. Oh my God, they're so bad. But the outlines are what I find valuable. So I kept them. So I'm still going to play around with it. I'm not happy with like I said, the stuff that it gives me is so, like I said, bombastic that it's like I said, it's really, it's like I'm gonna have to do so much massaging on this shit, um and it's just like, anybody who thinks that this stuff is like, oh, this is going to save so much time. Oh, you don't need to like do this anymore or do that anymore. It's like, no, if anything, what I've been finding is that Gemini is making me work harder to get what I want. It's like, because really it's like you'd be a fool to use anything that this thing generates straight without any edits whatsoever. It's like you'd be an absolute fool, because that's what you would end up sounding like, is an absolute fool. So yeah, so I don't, in the middle of all this though, you know what? It's like I'm tired of talking about AI. It's, and in the end, it's generative AI, because it's like, I still remember that thing that this guy said, that it's like, if it's artificial, it's not intelligent. And if it's intelligent, it's not artificial. So it's, it's a misnomer. It's generative. All it's doing is giving you a statistical summation of what it thinks of what is, it's not that it's thinking, but it's just like it takes your prompt and then it gives you a statistical summation of what you're asking for. Yeah, Melissa says, I've started calling it the probability machine. Yeah, that's really more accurate to what it is. That it's taking your prompt and then it's putting together something based on all of the data, all of the global data that it's collected, and giving you the statistical result of what you're looking for. That's what it's doing. It's not creating anything. It's not really offering anything. It's literally just it guessing what you want to see, right? Because I told Jose the thing about flattery, right? How AI loves flattery, right? And Jose's like going, oh, that's only because they haven't, it's not doing real critique yet. And I go, you know what? It's never going to do real critique. Because because statistically, a person wants to hear their shit is groundbreaking than it ever wants to hear, oh, it's never going to work. So that's what the AI is going to give you. It's, if you ask it for a critique, it's going to be the mildest critique, the softest critique. Not even a real critique, because in the end, it's like, it's a machine. What is it really telling you? It's not telling you anything. It's not, it's not telling you how it feels. It's a machine. It doesn't feel shit. It doesn't mean anything, right? It's like, it's reading your stuff and then giving you the statistical probability of what you might want to hear. That's it. That's not anything. So so yeah, so it's like so it's generative. It's just generating. It's like, look, it's I stand by this. It's just glorified Google. And the only difference that this works better than Google is because Google fucked up Google. You know? It's all it is. It's all just it's a faster search engine, right? And it's just giving you what the probability of what you want. Right? So yeah. So in the middle of all this, right? The thing that I didn't ask Gemini anything about, because by this point I was like, Gemini, you need to mind your own business. You really, it's like, don't talk to me. You suck at this. Don't talk to me. So on the Monday vlog, I was talking about how I was trying to plug up these story holes in my novelization. And I was able to come up with a couple of things that I was very satisfied with. I came up. Because I am not asking Gemini to solve my problems like this. This stuff, no. If it's creative, I do it myself. If it's bullshit tedium, Gemini can have it. So in the middle of all this, I ended up I'm almost done with it, but I ended up outlining what turned out to be another novel. It's another story. I haven't decided whether I want to do it as a comic or I want to do it as a novel, or if I want to do it at all. Haven't decided. But this had come out because the other thing that was bothering me about the novelization was that I didn't feel that the dragons, the Rikashans in my book, had enough of a motivation, right? I only kind of hinted at, okay, the dragons of the Far Mountains, Bilikath left to take over Edenron so that he could cast this spell that would bring back the first dragon, and then he would take over the realm as a goddess dragon type of thing. And I wasn't, and I just left it at that for the comic, right? But for the book, I wasn't happy with, like I said, the motivation for the dragons. So that was another thing that I was ruminating on, trying to figure out. Because also, I actually changed this from my website, which I found out, I remembered later I had written this, but I ended up changing it. Where I had said that the Rikashans were a reclusive dragon race that lived in the mountains, and their longevity was attributed to their magic, because nobody even knew if female dragons existed or something. And at the time, I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that. But when I reread it, I was like, oh my God, that is such a fucking cop-out. It's like, that is not, what was I even, I couldn't figure out, what I was even leaning towards, with that when it came to the dragons. And, I decided that that was like something else I wanted to think about, um, in terms of trying to, plug up this plot hole. Like in the end, what would make Billicath, my main villain, want to take over this kingdom run by elves and unicorns, away from his main kingdom that he lived in? It's like, the more I thought about it, the more kind of like I said, in the comic, it probably, it's just enough information, right? But in the novelization, I wanted something a little bit more to latch onto. And, while I was in Florida, my mother was watching a lot of these K dramas and C dramas, especially the historic ones, right? So there was, so there was like a lot of, like, especially with the historical ones, right? There was a lot of, references to, the compounds of the Forbidden City type thing, and the concubines, and everything, about that, right? So it's like, I had that, kind of in my head, right? And then I was thinking more about, like I'm a fan of the Omegaverse mythology, right? Look it up. I'm not going to explain it. It doesn't. There's no way I can explain Omegaverse without sounding like a complete loon. So, so I was thinking about like Omegaverse. That what if that Dragon Society was broken up into a heavily segregated caste system, right? Which I do kind of reference in the comic, where it's like the dragons are very hierarchical, and that if they're kind of like, if their alpha falls, the rest of them do. The rest of them fall also. So I kind of had that, but it's like, damn, it's like, how do I connect this all together? And it's like, so I thought that, okay, so again, what if the dragons lived in this very heavily segregated society? There's still a kingdom, but it's heavily segregated. What would that look like? And then it's like, well, what if Dragon Society, the dragon kingdoms, were ruled by the dragons, the oldest dragons that had the biggest hordes, right? So whatever that, so it's like, so kind of like Smaug, right? So, he has, all that gold and everything, but it's like, what else has value, right? Breedable females. Right? So what if, right, not only did the oldest dragons with the largest hordes rule over the kingdom, but like every female dragon was part of those hordes. So you had the wealth and you had the women. It's like, first you have the money, then you have the women. Then you have the power, then you have the women. Right? So what if that, right? So not necessarily Melissa's guest arable land, right? But, it's like, I would posit that, well, the way I have it is that the dragons, they live in the mountains, they live in their mountain kingdoms, but like so they do trading with the orcs and the goblins, right? So there are orcs that also live in the mountains, and then there's goblins that kind of like bridge between the kingdoms of the mountains and then the kingdoms of men, right? The mortal kingdoms, right? So the goblins, they would be kind of like the traders between the humans and the orcs and the dragons. No one, like the humans do not trade with the dragons or the orcs directly. Everybody goes through the goblins because nobody wants to, you know, humans don't want to deal with the dragons and the orcs directly. But they don't like dealing with the goblins either, but the goblins are kind of like the trade-off, right? So the dragons and the orcs and the goblins kind of have like this merchant kind of relationship, right? Where they get resources from each other. So I wouldn't so land wouldn't be something that I would see, like, not like in terms of farming. Maybe the orcs would be doing that. Maybe like maybe that's how the dragons would get like different types of food and textiles or whatever, like from, you know, from the orcs. But the dragons had their own setup, right? So okay, so my idea was oldest dragons rule the kingdom. They have the largest hordes, and part of that horde is pretty much every female dragon. If there's a female dragon, they belong to the royal class. They belong to the royal class. And then you have a merchant class of dragons where where it's like they would have like access to the royal harem, I guess, sort of like as rewards, you know, sort of like as a reward for you know, for serving the royal class, because it would be that merchant class that would be dealing with the orcs and the goblins, right? So then, right, so it's like, and then it's like, you know, maybe if they had like non-breedable females, those would be offered to the merchant dragons, you know, as rewards. I actually got this idea from The Handmaid's Tale, to tell you the truth. You know, so where it's like non-breedable females were offered as rewards for the servant, you know, the serving class, right? So you have the merchant class and the royal class, right? So then what's left? Well, then you have the servant classes, which served both the merchants and the royal class, right? And then you would have the soldier class, which is what you do with all the males that are never going to establish a horde in order to move up in that caste system, right? And not only that, but you're talking about a population of males that have no access to females, that will never have access to females, because they will never rise up in those ranks. So that's what I figured. Oh, you know what? What if Billicath was from the merchant class? And what if, like, the dragons have their own magic, but not, you know, it's like very few of them. Yeah, I know, right? HR says Eagle Raven role-playing game coming soon. Look, it wouldn't be the first time, you know, I was asked about an Eagle Raven role-playing game. So, you know, so also it's like, so like all dragons have magic, but it's kind of the same, kind of the way like everybody is creative, but not everybody nurtures that creativity. So if you're able to control magic, if you're able to like learn magic, then that's your only other way to move up the caste system, right? It's like, because it's like, oh, if you have magic, that's power that can be utilized. So it only makes sense that you would serve the royal class, right? So what if Billy Cath had just enough magic, right? But he didn't want, like, he's kind of fed up. He doesn't want to be a second fiddle to anybody. He has his own ambitions, and you know what? Maybe, I can start something new and challenge the right, and challenge this system that we have, right? So that's kind of what I'm playing with right now, where it's like that idea. And then it's like, you know, you have an entire army, right, filled with, you have this entire class of unmated male dragons that they will never have a mate, right? And what if, he says, like, look, I can offer something different than what is happening here. Come with me as as part of my army to Edenron, and you can be some part of something greater, right? Make dragons great again. I can't help that that's kind of an easy, but if you look at history, that's all that ever is, isn't it? So if you watched Monday's vlog, you'll get the joke. Um, so so now it like feels like there's a little bit more for me to work with there, right? There's a little bit more to work with. So what happened is that then I started having to like figure out, okay, how would that work? So you have males, these male dragons who are born into the royal harem, but if they're not, but just because you're born in the royal harem doesn't mean you're part royalty. So you kind of have to be born in the right, like in the actual, I guess, by the actual queen dragons. If you're just born from the regular, I guess, like the low ranking concubines, you guess what? You're destined to be a soldier. You're a soldier. You're either a servant or a soldier. So I imagine this idea of 5 dragons that were born at the same time, right, in the royal harem. But because they were from low-ranking concubines, they were just raised to be soldiers. When they were old enough, they were plucked to be soldiers, right? Which means, again, they would never have a chance to build a horde. They would never have a chance to even find a mate, right? A dragon mate, because, So I could imagine, it's like them thinking, it's like, you know what? It's like Billy Cath is offering something different. Why don't we go with him along, to essentially desert their posts, desert what they've already been living in, and take their chances in Edenron with Billy Cath and, whatever it is that he's trying to do. In the end, they don't care, they don't care like what Billy Cath is doing. They just want the opportunity to see the world, to go on adventures, to see something different, to experience something different than the life that they know they're already locked in to have in Rikashan, right? The kingdom of Rikashan. So, but what happens is that they get to Edenron, they take over the kingdom, right? And guess what's the first thing Billy Cath does? He establishes the same hierarchy that existed in the in Rikashan, in the main, the Rikashan kingdom, I really should come up with something else, but the Rikishan King. He just comes up with the same thing. The higher ranking dragons live in the castle, right? They hoard the female elves for themselves, and then everybody else is either a servant or a soldier, and the soldiers are outside. So these 5 dragons, they literally left one situation thinking they were, and only to end up in the same situation that they thought they were leaving. So then on that premise, I started building up this larger story where this one dragon of the 5, that he has an aptitude for magic, and because of that, he is assigned to work with the library with one of the head dragons, and what he's supposed to help do is pretty much like his job is to manage the elves that are being forced to work in the library, to help this other dragon help Billycath develop the spell that would manifest the dragon goddess. And me being me, the way the story goes is this dragon ends up finding out that there's an elf girl in this library that he helps manage, that she also is a magic user, but she's hiding it because the elves always, like, even though the elves had their own magic, anybody who had an aptitude, it turns out the elves were the same way. You were forced into the service of the royal family. But the magic only seemed to manifest in female elves. And what that usually meant is that you ended up a very unwilling concubine to Prince Rillian. And if you read the comic, you would know that's not really a good place to be. So the female elves who had any sort of magic, they started hiding it. And this is a story of one of those elves that hides her magic. And this dragon finds out. And in exchange to not being ratted out, the girl elf helps this dragon guy. She helps train him in his magic so that, it would help him, I guess, like, move in the hierarchy better. And then, it kind of, builds up from there. So I'm still massaging that. And all it did, but it just goes to show you, right? That it's like you try to plug up one problem and you end up with this whole other creative outlet, right? That, like, I'm still, like I said, I'm still working on the story. I'm still working on the outline for it. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet. But I'm pretty sure, that once, I figure out the ending, because I don't have an ending yet, because there's this whole thing where it has to tie into the main Ego Raven story, and I don't know how much of that I want to comprise this story without being repetitive, or whether I just want to have this story somehow be a standalone where it's connected to the main story, but it's, you could read it by itself as its own thing. So I haven't decided any of that yet. But, so we're almost at the top of the second hour. Me and my yammering, this is as far as we could go on this cover. I'm going to finish inking this after. I think we're done with the music. Boy, if anything was over the top, it was that music today, huh? Um, it's, it. So I'm going to be finishing the inking on this piece. The parts that I'm going to paint, I think I'm going to leave in pencil because this is going to be all painted. Eagle Raven and the wisteria in the background, that's going to be done with marker. So I'm just going to finish, inking this out, and then I'll probably ink the other ones first before I start painting anything. I want to be able to color all of them at the same time and then paint all of them at the same time because, so we'll see, because I want to try to finish this. I want to get these covers sent out by next week. Definitely before the end of the month. I've already given everybody the update on that for Kickstarter. So, okay, so let me just move this back here. So I don't know. Yeah, so I'm really liking the way this came out. I really like the way it's coming out. So that's what it's looking at. So that's what I've been up to. Fighting with Gemini, corny ass bitch, and trying to figure out the outline for this. Oh, thank you, HR. Thank you. HR says that it has a Dark Crystal Guillermo del Toro vibe to it. Thank you. I'm still, like I said, I'm still playing around with it. And like I said, the absolute hit that I'm getting by trying to figure out this story is magnitudes over how I would feel just scrolling mindlessly on social media. So that's so like I said, because I am limiting myself to Melissa says we're getting, hold on, let me see if I can, where's my cursor? Ah, here it is. We're getting so spoiled with the lore lately. It's great. Yeah, I mean, I'm having a great time with this. Because it's like, one of the things that I kind of like, that I would complain about to myself is that, it's like I don't get a lot of opportunity to just like talk lore like this. And then it's like on Monday, it just got to a point where it's like, you know what? If I want to talk about lore, I'm going to talk about lore. You know what? It's like I really do like the creative process, which again, this is not something Gemini can replace. It cannot replace me literally just sitting here ruminating on these points, and it's like, and then like getting those points to click. Yeah. It's my live stream. I'll lore dump if I want to. Yeah. It's like, that's what, like the hit of getting these points to come together and make sense. It's like I live for that. That's literally, that's what I love doing. It's like, it's those moments, and Gemini Copilot, they can never give me that. They can, because they're corny. They're corny. They're not, it's like they're not petty and they're not horny, so they can't create art. So yeah, so it's, so it's just like, it was just fun. It was just fun. So so thank you so much, everybody, for joining me today, keeping me company while I tried to finish the sketch. I'm almost done. I just need to like ink in a couple of things and beef up the outline, to her, and then technically this piece will be finished because the rest is going to be done in paint, metallic paint. So I don't need to outline that. So yeah, so thank you so much for joining me. Let's see, where is yes, and like I said, keeping me company and all that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for me today. Hold on, I'm still trying to find all my stuff here. Like I said, it's the back end of StreamYard is just so messy. So yeah, so yeah, so here we are at the end of the show. Like I said, make sure you sign up for my mailing list if you want to see the final versions of these sketches. I will be posting them most likely in a newsletter on my Substack to show them off. If you want to see the final versions of them before I send them out. So yeah, so if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and my books and my lore and all that stuff, and you want to see all my works in progress, you can head on over to my main portfolio site, egoworks.com. That's EGOWORKS, where you can read Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn for free. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILSonline.com, and you can read the entire current archive so far as we have it. There's 2 issues left that I still have to do on the Tears of the Mother story arc, but we still have almost 1,000 pages worth of stuff on that archive for you to read if you want to check that out. So that's Tall Tales at TAILSonline.com. And like I said, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter when you're over there, or you can hit the QR code that was at the bottom of the screen, or you can just sign up directly at my website, where you'll also get free PDFs for joining. It's you get to read Ego Raven for free, you get PDFs of Tall Tales, and you get PDFs of the Oswald Chronicles that you can check out. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining today. I hope you learned something, and even if you didn't, I hope you had a good time anyway. So final words. Yes, be better today than you were yesterday. Be better tomorrow than you were today. Thank you so much again, and I will see you next time.
You are all weirdos. Ugh.